You think your personality is yours. Your sense of humor, your taste in risk, the way you flinch at some things and laugh at others. You assume you built all of it yourself, but some of it was never written by you at all. Some of it was written by tiny invaders, riding quietly inside human bodies for thousands of years, nudging behavior without anyone noticing. This is not a theory. This actually happened. And in one case, it is still happening right now, inside billions of people. In the 1970s, a scientist named Jaroslav Fleger noticed something odd about himself. He was taking more risks than usual, crossing busy streets without really looking. He didn't feel scared the way he used to. Most people would shrug that off. Fleger didn't. He started digging, and what he found was strange. A tiny parasite called Toxoplasma gondii. It lives in cats, but it doesn't stay there. It spreads through soil and undercooked meat, and it can end up inside humans too. Once it's in your body, it does something wild. It travels to the brain, and then it waits. Here's the strange part. This parasite can only reproduce inside a cat. So, if it ends up in a human or a rat instead, it's stuck in the wrong place. Scientists believe that's why it does something almost sneaky. In rats, it actually reduces their fear of cats. Healthy rats are terrified of the smell of cat urine. Infected rats are not. Some even seem drawn to it. The parasite quietly turns off the one fear that would keep its host alive, because a dead rat means the parasite finally gets back into a cat, which is the only place it can reproduce. Now, here's the part that should give you a small chill. Roughly a third of the world's population is infected with this same parasite. Most people will never notice a thing. But across many studies, researchers have noticed small patterns. Infected people tend to show slightly more risk-taking behavior, slightly slower reaction times. It's not dramatic. It's not a personality transplant, but it's a real, measurable nudge coming from something most people don't even know is inside them. So ask yourself, if something this small and this invisible can shift your instincts even a little, how much of your personality is really you? Keep that question in mind because it's about to get stranger. Long before anyone understood parasites or brain science, people already feared something that hijacked behavior in a much more violent way. They didn't have a scientific name for it. They turned it into a story instead. Across Europe for centuries, people told tales of men turning into wolves, snarling, foaming at the mouth, attacking the people they loved most like something else had taken control of their body. These weren't just spooky campfire tales. Underneath them was a real disease. Rabies. When rabies reaches the brain, it doesn't just make someone sick. It can cause sudden aggression, extreme sensitivity to light and sound, and one truly disturbing symptom, an intense fear of water, even while desperately thirsty, because the throat spasms shut at the sight of liquid. Historical records describe infected people lashing out, even biting in the final days of the illness. Not out of cruelty, because the virus had taken over the parts of the brain responsible for fear and aggression. Now picture being a villager in the year 1200 with no idea what a virus even is. A neighbor, a brother, a friend suddenly snarling, afraid of water, attacking the people closest to them before dying within days. There was no science to explain it, so people built an explanation instead. A curse, a wolf's bite, a man transforming into a beast. The wild part is, the myth wasn't far from the truth. Rabies really does spread through bites. It really does turn familiar. Gentle people into something unrecognizable. The werewolf legend wasn't pure imagination. It was early humans watching a real disease rewrite a real personality and turning what they saw into a story they could pass down before they had the words to explain it scientifically. So, if a parasite can quietly nudge millions of people and a virus can completely override someone's fear and aggression, what happens when a disease moves slowly enough to reshape an entire culture's idea of personality? That brings us to the strangest chapter of all. By the late 1400s, a new disease was spreading fast through European cities. Many historians point to sailors returning from early transatlantic voyages as one likely path of transmission, though its true origins are still debated. What we do know for certain is what happened next. The disease spread quickly, and unlike rabies, it didn't kill fast. It settled in for years, sometimes decades. This disease was syphilis. In its later stages, if left untreated, syphilis can actually invade the brain and nervous system. And when it does, it can cause dramatic shifts in personality, sudden bursts of confidence, irritability, impulsive decisions. Some patients in late stages even described feeling invincible, full of energy and big ideas, even while their bodies were quietly deteriorating. Historians have spent decades debating how many well-known figures from this era may have been affected. We can't know for certain in any single case, but doctors who study this period have noted the pattern shows up often enough in historical medical records to take seriously. An era remembered for sudden, intense bursts of genius and erratic creativity was also an era where this disease was extremely widespread. 3 different invaders, 3 completely different effects. A parasite that quietly nudges instinct, a virus that violently hijacks fear and aggression, a bacteria that slowly reshapes mood and identity over years. None of them asked permission. None of them announced themselves. They simply moved through human history, shaping fear, courage, and creativity, while everyone around them assumed they were simply witnessing free will, fate, or coincidence. So here's the real question to sit with. When you feel unusually bold today, when you flinch at something that shouldn't scare you, when a mood shows up with no clear reason, how much of that did you actually choose? And how much of it is something biological, quietly steering from somewhere underneath? You think your personality is yours. Maybe most of it is. But history suggests there have always been passengers riding along, shaping who you are long before you ever showed up.